Shalom once again, my dear brothers and sisters. Shalom to everyone, to our friends out there. And today's episode that we are going to discuss is concerning about the levels of the soul or parts of the soul. As we are going to discuss these levels, there are about five levels of the soul. And the first three levels can be found, or it is attached or concentrated within our body parts, while the last two higher souls is not connected directly to our human body. And these are the five levels of the soul in ascending order, because when we read the Bible and we see the word soul, in fact it depends on what Hebrew term is being used, if we know how to read the Hebrew. And in ascending manner, this level or parts of the soul started with the lowest level, the nefesh. It is called nefesh. And the next one is ruach. And the third higher level is neshama. These three levels of souls are being concentrated in our body parts, and we will discuss this in our lesson for today. And the next highest level is the kaya and yecheda. These are the five levels of the souls, and these five levels of the soul has a correspondence with regards to the five books of Moses, which are Genesis in descending order, Exodus, Leviticus, Vayikra, Numbers, Bamidbar, and Barim or Deuteronomy. Also, this has a correspondence with regards to the sacred name of the Creator, the Tetragrammaton, which is Yod, He, Vav, He, and on top of the first letter, sacred letter, Yod, is the crown of Yod. It is called a crown of Yod, Kudso Shel Yod. Okay, so these five names or five parts or five levels of the soul are can be read in Hebrew. In first is in Genesis chapter 2 verse 7. The word nefesh, kaya, and neshama is being mentioned in Genesis chapter 2, the first book of the Jewish Bible, chapter 2 verse 7. And I would read to you the Hebrew for this verse, and it says, Vayotzer Adonai Elohim et Ha'adam. Ha'adam means man, Adam, the first human being. Afar means dust or soil. Min Ha'adam, Min Ha'adama. Okay, soil, you are being formed from the dust of the ground. And by Yupach Bi Afab Nishmat Chayim, by He Ha'adam Lenefesh Chaya. And God breathed it into his nostril, the breath of life, Kayim. And the man became a living soul, Lenefesh Kaya. So here, the word for soul is used in three forms: nefesh, kaya, and neshama. Because neshama, the breath, is correlates with the third higher level soul in man, which is neshama. Alright, in this past lessons, we will discover also where are these parts, or where are these levels of souls can be found and concentrated in our parts. Say for example, the term kaya is mentioned. So meaning to say the first level, the first four levels of the souls are being mentioned in the Torah itself, in the book of Genesis chapter 2 verse 7. And then the Ruach, the Ruach being used, or the translated also as spirit, is being written in Genesis, Bereshit chapter 1 verse 2. It says that Beruach Elohim, Beruach Elohim Merekapit Alpine Hamayim, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And this term Ruach, or Ruach in Hebrew, is also translated as soul in English, or spirit in the English translations. And this with regards to soul. The first time in here it is used in reference to the Shekinah, the presence of God, the divine presence of God. However, when it is used to humanity, it was first used in Genesis chapter 6 verse 17, when the soul of the lives here of the creation, meaning to say humanities, and that was in Genesis chapter 6 verse 17 during the deluge. And the fifth, the highest one, is Yecheda, and this is written in Psalm 22 verse 20 and Psalm 35 verse 17. And we will read it in Hebrew, and so that we may know how this verse is being not accurately translated in some English Bible. In fact, in your English translation, it is verse 20. Okay, so it says in English, "Rescue my soul from the sword." The literal translation must be "my only one." This is the "rescue my soul from the sword, my only one from the paw of a car or dog." Okay, so in Hebrew it says that Hatzelah mechereb nafshi miyad keleb yechedate. So here the word yechedate was used as in regards to the higher level of the soul of David. And in some other translation, this is translated as darling, like in King James. And if it is translated as darling, it doesn't make sense at all, because the word Yecheda, from the word Yecheda, meaning to say the oneness, or the other one of David. This regards to the highest level of the soul according to the words of the teachings of the sages, and therefore this is the highest one, the highest level of the soul. And for the sake of our study, because we cannot really compress these vast lessons into a short portion of time, I will just I will briefly emphasize what are these levels of the souls. The first one is the nefesh, and we know that the first our soul per se, the soul per se, when it comes to the creation of the soul, this is quite different from the creation of other things, other materials, such as the heavens and earth and everything in it. The human soul was created by God by breathing it from or into the nostril of human being, as meaning to say that is from the inward being of the Creator. However, when heavens and earth was created, it was commanded by God. Let's say, for example, the first one that being mentioned in Genesis chapter 1 is, "Let there be light," and there was light. So it was commanded, it was spoken by the Creator, by His speech, okay, by His davar, by His words. So meaning say, Yehior in Hebrew is Yehior, Veyehior, let there be light, and there was light. However, when it comes to the soul of man, God created the soul of man by means of breathing into the nostril of the human body of Adam, or man, the first human being. So nefesh is the lowest level of the soul, and this is according to Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 13. This nefesh, Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 23, this nefesh can be found in our blood, because it says it was uh, stated there that you are prohibited to eat the blood, for the blood is the soul. So in some other translation, it is translated as life. The soul is translated as life. This word nefesh was translated as life. However, in some other translations like Darby, he translated it correctly, because here the nefesh was translated as soul. And this nefesh, this level of soul, is the lowest level of the soul. Meaning to say, every living animals had the same level of nefesh. We have nefesh, the living animals have also nefesh. So this is the lowest level of the soul. So the second level of the soul is called ruach, or being translated as spirit. So the word ruach conjures a picture of a forceful wind, no? Kaya nga ito ay ihinalin tulad, no? These are being compared to a wind. The spirit is compared to a wind. And the forceful and emotionally strong spiritual in God's wind, the ruach part of the soul. And this level of the soul is concentrated in our heart, and therefore this soul is in our heart. This level of soul, ruach, is in our heart. And the higher level one, the highest level that can be comprehended by mortals, by humanity, is the neshama. And this neshama is found in our mind. Okay, in our mind. This is the God's breath at His lips is neshama. This level of soul is felt in the experience of pure thought. So when we experience a pure thought, that is the neshama that is in our brain. Most of our thoughts are really tainted, and therefore these are the results of our physical biases and our emotional inclination. Therefore, we are warned by Prophet Jeremiah in his words, Jeremiah chapter 17. The heart is the most deceptive parts of our, because it is the home of our emotions. It is the home of our feelings, and therefore we must not confine our decision to our feeling, our emotions, because that is the level wherein we can be misled. Let's say, for example, it is the one that direct our body to commit a sin, and therefore if our brain, our neshama will not cooperate with that, or will not neutralize the emotion or the feelings, then the abode of the ruach, then we will commit, or we can commit a transgressions against our Creator. So neshama is in the brain, the highest level of that can be comprehended by mortals. So beside or beyond that level, the neshama, which is kaya and yichida, humanity is very few of them can really comprehend. And according to a brief elaboration of the sages, is that this higher level soul is a makifim. What does it mean by makifim? It is an encompassing light. It hovers us, and it brings us inspirations, or some light of inspiration, so that we can be guided by divinely. by divine wisdom. And also this neshama that is in our brain, if we are not righteous enough to internalize the holiness of this neshama, it can also hover over a man, serving as a makif. Not a pineme, not an inner light, but an encompassing light. So therefore, those who have a righteous act, a righteous thought, a pure intellect, this neshama will become a makif, or an encompassing light with him, and give him an understanding, and give him a comprehension over the wisdom that God has placed on this earth, especially the wisdom of the Torah. And this wisdom of the Torah has two parts according to duties of the heart, or kobot halibabot. And this wisdom of the Torah has two parts. One is the visible wisdom and the invisible wisdom. The visible wisdom can be noticed through our maasay mitzvot, throughout the works of the commandments. And the invisible wisdom is that it can be found in our heart and in our thoughts. That is what it is called the duties of the heart. And so therefore, this is with regards to the higher level of soul that is within us in the brain. And so therefore, this is about the first three levels of the soul that can be found in us, or in us. On the first level, which is nefesh, these are the homes of bad and good. Okay, so that is why we are composed of good and evil because of the nefesh. And if we will not use exactly what God designs for our ruach, for the heart and for the mind, or the neshama, then we will become like an ordinary animal. And sometimes there is a saying in the Philippines na mas masahol ka pa sa hayop kung hindi tayo nag-aato sang-ayon sa divine concept ng God, sa divine wisdom ng God. That means that we are more than animals if we do not utilize the nefesh, the first level of our soul, into a divine service for God. And what we can do is almost always opposite to what God had provided in the Torah, morally and spiritually. Therefore, a lot of criminals, a lot of transgressors, a lot of wicked people on the planet Earth, because the first level of the soul, which is the nefesh, that can be found in our blood, and the most plenteous portion of blood in our organs is the liver. Therefore, the lowest level of the soul, or part of the soul, can be found in our liver, and the next one is in the heart, and in the mind, the neshama. So meaning to say, these three parts of our organ, in internal organs, the liver, the heart, and the mind, is connected with these three levels of the soul. So meaning to say, God has exactly and divinely designed us to place our head on top of our human anatomy, because He must be the head, He must be the one to lead the heart and our liver, our internal organs. If it can be inverted, it is explained later by our sages how this can be understood in a layman's words. And this is because this is the anatomy of human body, and therefore God designed it that this level of the soul be placed on that particular organ, and that we can operate by virtue of divine wisdom, so that we can serve God in a divine way, in a right way. Okay, so meaning to say, our mind must always rule, our neshama must always rule our heart, our ruach, and our nefesh. liver, internal organs, so that we can live according to the righteous design by God Himself. So let us proceed about this hierarchy of the soul, or that is in the parts of our body. So the most perfect hierarchy within a man is one that in which the neshama rules the ruach. This is the perfect design of God, that the neshama, the mind, must rule the ruach, or the heart, and nefesh, the internal organs, so that our action must always be in conformity with the teaching, the laws of God. So according to the Hebrew terms for mind and heart and liver, the mind is mo'ach, with an initial of mem, or letter M in English, and the Hebrew word for heart is leb, with an initial of lamed, or letter L, and the liver in Hebrew is kaved, with an initial letter of K, okay? Kaf. And accordingly, this MLK is an initial letters for the term king, because king in Hebrew is melech, meaning to say, if we rule our personality, the whole of our person is ruled by our mind, our mu'ach, our pure thought. If we are ruled by that design of God, then we will become king over our heart and our lower self. But frequently, humanity invert this design of God. Instead of their mind rules, their neshama rules their lower parts, their heart rules over their mind. They depend their decision according to what they feel, their emotions, according to what they feel, according to what their habit is. But that is not the case for the design of God in us, the soul that God placed in our body. And if we invert the sequence, it will become the MLK, or the Melech, the king, will be inverted into KLM, and it is pronounced as Kalim. And Kalim in Hebrew means embarrassment, or shame, or death. So meaning to say, it will not rule according to the leadership of our head, according to the decision of our pure thought, our intelligent mind. Then what we will do is according to what we feel, and according to the desire, the lust of our body, the liver. And therefore, if that will happen, it is called kalim. And kalim is embarrassment and shame and death. So meaning to say, it will become embarrassment for us if our pure thought will not rule us. And because if our pure thought, our intelligent mind will not rule over our action, over what we feel, then what we can do is perhaps almost always against the law of God. Meaning to say, against truth, against decency, okay? Against morality, against spirituality. So we will become an enemy of God ourselves if we will not do fulfill the design of God, the level of the soul that was placed inside our body. So that's it, my friend. Hopefully we have learned something from this lesson. In fact, this is a vast lesson, and we have just given an bird's eye view about these first 3 levels of the soul. So Hashem may bless us as we continue to learn from God's creation. We are the crown of God's creation, and we must know ourselves because we are the crown of creation of God. May Hashem bless us all. Shalom, shalom.